Jared Allen. Jared, how are you this afternoon, man?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Doing good. And now after a legendary career on the football field, you're trying to put together a legendary career on the ice as part of All-Pro Curling, along with Mark Bulger, Keith Bullock, and Michael Roos. How does a group of former NFL players decide, you know what, we want to be Olympic curlers?
Oh, I think I was able to push them into it, but it just, you said I can't, if anybody's heard the story or read it, I'll make it short, but I basically had a bet with a buddy that I couldn't become an Olympian, and so chose curling, and I asked the guys if they wanted to come along and try to make this thing a reality, and so they said yes, so we dove headfirst into it, and now we're having a blast, and of course then your competitive nature takes over, and then we want to be the best. Mike and I were just laughing about it the other day. It was like, it kind of started out as fun, we're learning stuff, but then you get in, now it's like, we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. So we've added a new skip, a shot caller, who his name is Jason Smith. He's a former 2010 Olympian. So we're trying to hedge all the odds in our favor and getting going. And so now we got a team of 5, and we're grinding, and we're looking forward to this upcoming season to get some W's.
What's the toughest part about going from football to curling, just as far as challenges on the sport?
Hit anybody in curling. Yeah, you're not allowed to hit anybody.
Yeah, that's true, Jared.
So when you make a bad shot, you can't go and just like punch the opponent in the face. So
that's too bad.
That's always something you gotta really focus on. I think for me, I like it because it's challenging from the standpoint of it's a finesse game, right? So all your energy and all that, to me as a football, that would work in your favor, your adrenaline, stuff like that, really kind of work against you in curling. And so, but then there's just so many components to it. The strategical side, it's kind of like chess, right? So, there's that aspect of it is learning, the shots and the geometry and physics and which way, the rocks are going to roll and bounce and drag and all this stuff. And then the physical aspect of sweeping, right?
Yeah.
So, we figure that's we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to try to become the best sweepers that we can possibly be, with our size and strength, being bigger than most on the ice. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of a cool combination of, controlled aggression as far as, when you're sweeping, you get going, and then you got to be able to control that breathing and bring yourself back down to make a finesse shot, and really harness those emotions. It's one thing for football carries over. You got to have a short-term memory. You can't let one bad shot compound into 2. But then you get to rotate, right? So then if you're not the last guy, you can always blame it on someone else too.
That's very true. But Jared, so here's the one thing I don't get: a quarterback really on your team? Like that's the one.
I plan, yeah. Well, so here's the thing. I try to think. Not try to just be a big barbarian. I'm thinking, well, Mark, he's a signal caller his whole career, so he's got to be. Our original plan was to have him be our skip. So I figured he could be down in there, calling shots. We didn't need him for sweeping. I mean, you got to have finesse and touch as a quarterback. So what we didn't realize is the strategical part of this game is way, way more complicated than you think. And, there's no real way to take someone who's had, 20, 30 years of experience and, like most of these guys and try to learn that in under a year. So that's where we made the move to really kind of, get Jason on board and really take the strategical side where as we learn and have an experienced guy back there so we can apply all of our physical stuff. And, but hey, quarterback's got to have soft touch. So I figured, why not?
Now, Jared, and we're talking with Jared Allen, of course, former All-Pro defensive end for your Minnesota Vikings, now part of All-Pro Curling. You mentioned you have an Olympian on your team. You have an Olympian as a coach, John Benton. When you come to these guys with this, do they sort of roll their eyes, or are they at all offended? Like, you guys think you could just walk into the world of curling and just be Olympians within a year, or were they on board right away?
Oh, right on board right away. So John was on board since day one. And I think they appreciate the challenge of it, right? And so I think they once they get to know us, we just got somebody on like last month. They realize that we don't mean it with a disrespect. If you don't set high goals in life, no matter what you're doing, right?
Right.
And then I feel like you're never going to accomplish anything. If all you're after is low hanging fruit, then you're not really going to accomplish stuff in life. So for us, it's about setting a goal that is, so far up there that you have to strive, you have to work. It forces you to get outside your comfort zone. It forces you to do whatever it is that needs to get done to get it done. So, yeah, they were on board from day one, and I think it's more they understand the challenge of it, they like it, but also they like the attention it brings to curling, and that's the best thing about curling so far is everybody has been so welcoming and open, because they do when you talk to us, you realize we're not just a bunch of arrogant guys thinking that we're better than everybody. We're just trying to challenge ourselves to do something that really hasn't been done before, and have a good time do it, but take it serious because we want to learn the game. We want to learn the sport. We want to bring attention to the sport, and we go out there and we play our hardest, and we take our lumps, but we don't shy away from it. People have asked us like, why do you jump in and play the basketball? Why don't work your way up? I was like, the best way to learn how to swim really quick is by throwing yourself in the deep end. You're either going to drown or you're going to live. That's all there is to it. So, that's kind of the approach we've taken. And what it does is it shows your glaring weaknesses, right? Yeah. As you're getting better, but it also lets you know what it takes to be at the top. And so, we've been that's the approach we've taken. We're getting better and better, and we're excited for this upcoming season to see how it plays out.
So, what are the steps now towards qualifying for the games, and where do you see your team being at in relation to where it eventually needs to be if it is going to make the games, Jared?
Oh, well, you know what? Again, we got obviously that's our long-term goal. So, our short-term goal for this year is, we got to get through the summer, kind of the downtime, and then, we'll figure out our match schedule. There's a bunch of WTC events. We obviously got to earn enough points. So, I want to be able to qualify for the Nationals without having to go through the challenge rounds. So that means we're going to have to play a couple bigger kind of events. We're going to have to place well. So I think that's kind of our next step is now that we've gotten our feet wet, now that we know what the competition looks like, now that we know all the teams from the short schedule we played last year, this year we're going to play a full schedule, and we'll be able to pick some events where not I'm not saying like it's more intermediate level.
Yep.
And then we obviously got those big WTC events where we're going to have to go and win and place out there in the points we need. So I think that's now it's about setting short-term goals to help accomplish your long-term goals. So like I said, I think a great accomplishment for us this next starting like September, this 2019 going into 2020 is being able to, if we qualify for nationals without having to play in through a challenge round,
mm-hmm.
then I think we've made it an incredible goal. And then after that, heck, why not try to win a world title? Why not try to win a world title? Why not just try to be the best? Period. So that's my focus. I tell you, guys, I'm watching the Women's World Championships right now, and I think that's for me. I'm like, there's our goal. There's another intermediate goal. Let's push to this. And so, as I said, I think we'll see how it plays out. But that's the short-term goal right now is to win a couple matches and get some points and get qualified for nationals.
2-year-old sport, sir. How would you fare playing in a league now where if you were rushing a quarterback and I was the official, I could judge that 78.8% of your weight fell on a quarterback, and thus your sack is now taken away, and you are assessed a 15-yard penalty, Jared Allen. How would you handle that?
I'd probably be ejected from a lot of games, to be honest with you. I'd probably, at some point, I'm done. I'm just going to walk off and probably retire mid-game because, it is getting ridiculous. I saw that. Also, in fairness to the league, that rule has kind of been in place for a while. I lost a sack to Garrard from Jacksonville back when I was in Kansas City because I hit him in his gut and drove him into the ground, landing on him, kind of, straight in. And they said you're supposed to shift your weight even back then. But nowadays it's even more. It's just worse. I mean, you look at it, and I can't remember what game it was. Like maybe it was watching a Philly game or something, and someone got a sack taken away because of the way they landed on somebody, and accidental head comp. If your hand accidentally touches the helmet of the quarterback. I mean, there's so many rules that protect the quarterback these days that I don't know that I could handle it. I think it's making it hard for guys. Guys are obviously athletes; they'll adjust and they'll make the right moves. And I get player safety, but at some point, I feel like you diminish the game by trying to make guys control. The action happens so fast, and you're going to take some of that relentlessness away from the defenders if it's constantly criticized where and how to hit people.
Jared, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the Vikings current coach Mike Zimmer, and he's a defensive guy. And how, if you ever had a chance to play under Mike Zimmer's defense, how do you think you would have done? I mean, I would assume you would have done very well because you were a terrific player. But what do you think it would have been like playing for a coach like Zim?
You know what? I got nothing but respect for him. I've obviously played against him several times when he was with Cincinnati. I got to talk to him briefly when he was coming in, and I was leaving. I was going around free agency and trying to see if we can make that whole thing work out. But for me, I mean, the only thing I was never a rotation guy. That seems to be kind of the go-to these days is the D line, and everybody kind of rotates. I was the kind of guy that needed to play 60, 70, 80 plays because it's like a boxer, right? I'm gonna wear on you. You're gonna make a mistake, and then I'm gonna capitalize and win. So I was never the guy that just come off the bench and give me 3 snaps, and I'm gonna have 2 tackles and a sack. So I'm a technician, and I like to be in the flow of the game, and there's that rhythm to it. So from that standpoint, I don't know if I would fare well in this whole rotation game these days. I got a little bit of that in Carolina, and it was difficult to adjust to. But as far as the way Zimmer's defense plays, I love it. I mean, they're hungry, they're attack minded. It's a 4-3. They honestly it's all kind of predicated off that front seven dominating. And now they've added a decent back end in some areas. So, those are the kind of coaches you love playing for. You love playing for guys that, are okay with a 13-7 victory and as a defensive person. So I think we would have got along great. I hear nothing but phenomenal things about Zim. So from a personality standpoint, it seems like he's my type of guy. As long as he would have let me play 70 snaps a game, we would have gotten along great.
Now, one rule change about today's NFL that I think you could get down with, Jared, is that they have embraced the celebrations. You had the hog tie celebration when you got sacks in the NFL. Do you have a celebration in the curling world? Are you allowed to celebrate? Are you allowed to do the hog tie after you get the rock in the middle?
You can do it. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what thing we're gonna bring. I gotta you're not really supposed to be like overly trash talking, so I gotta find some nice polite ways to kind of get underneath my opponent's skin a little bit. But yeah, it's funny because now you see it. I remember I was sitting there, literally I got called. Frazier called me into the office. We're getting ready to play Detroit, and I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, I think it was Frazier. And he was like, "By the way, we got a call from the league. It said if you put your knee on the ground when you do your celebration, it's a 15-yard penalty." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yep.
I just watched Adrian drop the most knees when he scored a touchdown. Like, why am I getting singled out? But I'm glad they finally embraced that part of it. Although now I feel like it's not now I feel like people are trying too hard on celebrations. Where Bruce Neil Smith was the one that told me, he's like, you just got to pick something that is important to you, that represents you, and just do it over and over and over, right? That's your deal. And so kind of, it was more organic, I feel, back in the day. You had T.O. and, Ocho Cinco. I feel like they were just making things up at the spur of a moment, minus the jacket deal. And so that was fun to watch. Some of these organized celebrations are a little too much. I want to see some more just spontaneity and not so rehearsed.
Patty cake and stuff? You don't like that, Jared? Come on, it's a team effort, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but sometimes like when guys are like waving 13 people over.
Yeah, that's what they do now.
I really want to see 1, maybe 2. They should limit it to 2 people.
Hey, Jared,
I think if they did that, that'd be great.
I got a question for you. I covered you, and this extends back to, I believe, your first training camp in Mankato. And there was a practice when Brad lined you up at tight end, which I believe you had some experience at in KC. Why did they never unleash you? Because it would actually fit in well in today's game perfectly. Why didn't they allow you to play tight end? You would have been a pain in the butt at that spot.
I lobbied for that all the time in Minnesota, and they wouldn't do it. What more did I have to prove? In Kansas City, I was 2 for 2 for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. And then, if you remember my last game in Minnesota in the Dome against Detroit, they finally put me in at tight end. I was wide open in the back of the end zone, and Castle overthrew me.
Oh, no, I forgot that. No kidding.
I remember that.
Otherwise, I would have been 3 for 3 with 3 touchdowns.
It was perfect.
To this day, I still see Castle, and I'm like, I just shake my head at him. He's like, I'm so sorry.
He would never be on your curling team, though, because excluded him
That's why
right
you
there.
got Bulger instead of Castle, isn't that right?
Yeah, unacceptable. Yeah, I talked to Castle, and we tried to get him on, but he played one more year, so maybe he'll come on in the late. Who knows?
2009 NFC title game against the Saints. How much to this day do you think about that game, Jared Allen?
Yeah, it stinks. Especially I thought about it the most when I finally made it to the Super Bowl with the Panthers, and you're sitting back and reminiscing. And that Panthers team was so much like the 2009 team. I mean, just offensive dominance from a locker room standpoint, especially. It's such an amazing place and feeling. But I remember that 2009 game. I feel like for me, that's one of the saddest memories. A great game, great memory. But just because when you're in your prime, going to the Super Bowl was great, but I was retiring after that. I knew I was retiring. Again, we had the big D line rotation, but 2009, our entire team was kind of in their prime, and that would have been fun to go to the Super Bowl with a team that was firing on all cylinders like that. So, and really, put on a dominant performance. So that for me is always kind of one of those, opportunities lost. I feel like we had the team, we had the ability, we had the coaches to win a championship while I was there, and it just didn't come to fruition. But that game, you go back and you watch it, and you can't cry over spilled milk, but you just like you kind of shake your head, as even throughout penalties called or not called or whatever, but opportunities in that game that we had and we squandered. You kind of look back and like, oh, that stinks.
That's Jared Allen, the former Vikings defensive end. Follow him on Twitter and track the progress of All Pro Curling. He's at Jared Allen 69. Jared, we'd like to check in on you again, man, if at all possible, and see how you guys are doing. Best of luck in your mission to make the 2022 Olympics.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. You guys have a great one.
You too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.